Okay, part 2, and we start part 2 with what I thought was a very good match. The ECW Championship match between the challenger, William Regal, and the champion, Christian. Unfortunately, although I thought this was a good match, and I'm sure many of you thought it was a good match, the Montreal crowd didn't agree with us. They hated this match. They were completely silent throughout, which really annoyed me, and I was really trying to get into the match, and I was like, oh my god, why are you so dead? Which was really surprising, because Christian, of course, is Canadian, and when his theme music hit, the crowd, went crazy. They all rose as one. It was, I was like, this match has guaranteed good atmosphere. But in fact, the exact opposite was true. For whatever reason, this crowd did not care about William Regal. Maybe he should have cut an anti-Canada promo at the start, I don't know, but they just didn't give a shit. And unfortunately, because Christian was booked to win, Regal was booked to look really, really strong. So he dominated most of this match. So for most of this match, the crowd hated it. But aside from the crowd, I don't know what's wrong with it. Aside from the crowd, this was really good. We had some nice sort of chain wrestling at the start. We had this really nice sequence in a Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Then we had Regal take over with some strikes and knees and stuff like that. Exploder suplex, and also the Regalplex, which we haven't seen for a while, and I was glad to see it because it's a great move. It was only worth a 2 count though, as of course Christian was booked to win this match. Christian really didn't do very much in this match, which also hurt this match. I don't know, there was no really big Christian comeback for the crowd to get, into. It was quite an even affair right up to the last minute when William Regal went for the knee trembler. Christian got out of the way, hit the kill switch for the win. It was a good match, the crowd didn't like it. Then we had Pat Patterson come out, who apparently was born in Montreal, had no idea. He came out to talk about the Intercontinental Championship, and basically he was about to introduce someone, and presumably that person is still waiting backstage, because Dolph Ziggler cut him off, came to the ring, and there followed a very odd segment where Pat Patterson, in quite an amusing way, mocked how Dolph Ziggler is not over at all, and then Dolph Ziggler just started calling Pat Patterson old in a series of very unfunny ways, and it was kind of awkward. Luckily he was getting heel heat just because he was being so annoying, because he wasn't being funny in any way, but the crowd were telling him to shut the fuck up and all that sort of stuff, so I don't know. Anyway, predictably, Ziggler attacks Pat Patterson, John Morrison comes out. Why these two aren't wrestling match on this pay-per-view, no idea. John Cena, Randy Orton, I Quit for the WWE Championship. This is going to be the most controversial thing I say on this review. I thought this was really good. I really, really like this. I thought this was a great match. I know you're going to moan at me, you're going to say, oh, I didn't want Cena to go over. John Cena is the most over person in the company. He's the face of the company. He's the guy, he's the person most people have heard of out with wrestling. He's incredibly important to the company. At some point, he has to win the title, right? It was the same with Hulk Hogan. It was the same with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know you're thinking, I liked Hulk Hogan. I liked Stone Cold Steve Austin. I didn't. I still had to put up with it. I don't like John Cena either. But I realize he has to be champion at some point. Randy Orton's had quite a long title reign. At points it's been good, at points it's been bad. It's fair enough that Cena won this match, is what I'm saying. It's fair enough. It's a sensible business decision. Anyway, aside from that, that's not why I like this match, obviously. I like this match because I thought it was really good, and I thought the psychology behind it was really good, and I know some people will say, well, it was really slow and boring. I wouldn't agree at all, because at one point Michael Cole described this as like torture. It wasn't like torture. It was torture. That's what was great about it. We had this sort of weird power relationship going on. We had I Quit put to its natural conclusion, which is basically torture. At what point will you break? Where's your breaking point? So we had Randy Orton. Basically, Cena comes out strong, then Orton takes over, gets Cena in a sufficiently weakened state that he can handcuff him. And then he just beats him and beats him and beats him. And there's this great thing, the fact that Orton's got this key around his neck, and this key is like all the power. He is holding all the power in this key, and he just keeps unlocking Cena and then putting him in new, worse positions, and just beating him with chairs, his fists, kicks, kendo sticks, monitors, all kinds of things. He's just destroying him. And Cena, of course, won't quit, which some people will say, oh, he's being Superman again, which is true, he is, but I think it worked. So anyway, of course, John Cena, there's this point where he manages to get the better of Randy Orton, and he manages to take the key off Randy Orton, and now John Cena has the power. So he straps himself directly to Randy Orton, and just attacks him and goes mental, and this is quite good as well. And then there's this great bit, Orton hits an RKO, and then we have a sort of scramble for power, where Randy Orton goes to try and reach out for the key, and this is a great visual, because Randy Orton's reaching out for the key, and we all know, I think, at this point, that John Cena is going to lock the STF on him. That is obviously what's going to happen. We've got this brilliant camera angle of it, and John Cena, of course, locks the STF as Randy Orton desperately reaches for the key. I thought this was a great ending. I thought Orton probably said "I quit" too quickly, but you know, I thought this was a great ending that made sense. Didn't really like the wasted time at the end where Cena celebrated and then said "I did not quit," which took 5 minutes out of the pay-per-view for no reason at all. But I thought this was a great match. I really did. I know you won't. I know you will disagree with me. I know you will shout at me for that. But anyway, main event: Undertaker versus the champion CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. This was a screw job. I think a lot of us expected a screw job. I don't think any of us expected it to be this bad. This was a horrible screw job. This was really bad. I mean, this was just ridiculous, because the match started off really good, as you'd expect. I think these two do have good chemistry. I think it will show in their later matches. The match started off well. Punk went after the Undertaker, and then the Undertaker threw him over the top rope as his first act, which I thought was great. And the Undertaker dominated him, and Punk looked basically overmatched in this match, and until Punk got a steel chair and started attacking him. And I thought all this was booked very well. I thought the Undertaker looked very impressive. I thought CM Punk looked good as well. He was staying with him. There was this terrible bit where Grisham did this horrible segue into Undertaker doing old school, where he just Punk says he's the choice of the new generation. He's not old school like the Undertaker, speaking of which. And I was like, oh, that was dire. But this was good. This was good. Then there's a point where Undertaker goes for a chokeslam, and CM Punk roundhouse kicks him to the head, and he goes down, and Undertaker just locks on Hell's Gate, and Punk taps out instantly. And I was like, right, there are 10 minutes left. This can't be the ending. But they left it for a sufficient amount of time where I was like, oh my god, it could be the ending. Teddy Long comes out, which is what I thought would happen. Teddy Long says Hell's Gate was banned a long time ago by Vicky Guerrero. And I was like, yeah, that's true, but you have been letting him use it since that time. So, but anyway, so Teddy Long restarts the match. CM Punk goes back in, attacks the Undertaker, locks on the Anaconda Vice, and the Undertaker clearly doesn't tap out at all. He just grazes the mat with his hand. But the referee says he taps out and then runs out of the ring and runs to the back. So, I don't know, was the referee in on it? It'd make more sense if the referee was in on it, because otherwise that's terrible officiating. But Punk retains, and the Undertaker looks furious. And I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I just thought it was terrible. I mean, I think these two could have a really good match. I think they could have had a really good match here, a really good submission match here, which did end in a screwjob finish, but ended in a slightly better screwjob finish. I think that match could have still been very good, but it just didn't happen, which was disappointing. There were things I liked about this pay-per-view. There were things I didn't like. You know, it was the typical WWE mixed bag. Who knows? Anyway, please tell me what you thought of it. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me if you hated it. Tell me if you completely disagree with me. Tell me that my star rating, whatever I do give John Cena versus Randy Orton, is completely ridiculous in every way. Do all that stuff. Rate, comment, subscribe if you wish. Okay, bye.